Imagine for a second that you are looking at a map of the Pacific. You see the United States on one side, China on the other, and right in the middle controlling the most critical shipping lanes in the world is Indonesia. For decades, this massive archipelago has tried to stay neutral, balancing delicately between East and West. But something huge just happened, something that might have permanently tipped the scales. We aren't just talking about a handshake and a photo op. We are talking about a massive influx of capital, effectively a $50 billion economic embrace that changes everything. While the world was distracted by conflicts in the Middle East and Europe, Beijing quietly secured a deal that could lock down the future of the electric vehicle industry and, more controversially, rewrite the maritime borders of Southeast Asia. Is Indonesia selling its sovereignty for cash? And what does China actually get in return for this massive investment? The answer involves your car battery, the South China Sea, and a shift in global power that Washington never saw coming. Join the geopower community. Before we unpack this massive deal, I have a quick request. We are building Geopower Report to be your go-to source for understanding how the world really works beyond the headlines. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand the forces shaping our future, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. It helps us keep digging deep into these stories, and you won't want to miss our next report. The deal, more than just money. Let's get straight into the numbers because they are staggering. Indonesia and China have recently signed a flurry of agreements, deepening an economic partnership that is already worth tens of billions. When you look at the total scope of infrastructure, mining, and technology commitments, we are looking at a financial package that essentially supercharges Indonesia's economy. But why Indonesia? And why now? Indonesia is the largest economy in Southeast Asia. It is a giant that is waking up. Under its new leadership, the country has a goal to reach developed nation status by 2045. To do that, they need money, lots of it. They need roads, ports, digital infrastructure, and processing plants. The United States and Western investors have been slow to write these kinds of massive checks. They come with strict conditions, environmental regulations, and lengthy approval processes. China, on the other hand, showed up with a checkbook and a shovel, ready to break ground tomorrow. For Indonesia's leadership, specifically President Prabowo Subianto, this wasn't about ideology. It was about pragmatism. He needs to deliver growth, and Beijing is the only partner offering it at this speed and scale. The resource trap, the nickel revolution. However, to understand what China really wants, you have to look underground. Indonesia holds the world's largest reserves of nickel. If you know anything about the future of energy, you know that nickel is a new gold. It is the essential component in the lithium-ion batteries that power electric vehicles. China is already the world's dominant player in EVs, with companies like BYD challenging Tesla globally. But to stay on top, China needs a guaranteed endless supply of nickel. This $50 billion economic integration isn't just about building bridges. It's about locking down the supply chain. By pouring money into Indonesia, Chinese companies are building smelters and refineries right on Indonesian soil. This is a masterstroke. It helps Indonesia because they are no longer just exporting raw dirt. They are exporting higher value processed metal, which creates local jobs. But for China, it means they effectively control the tap. If you are an American or European car manufacturer trying to build batteries in the future, you might find that the raw materials you need are owned, processed, and shipped by Chinese-controlled entities operating out of Indonesia. The Maritime controversy, a dangerous precedent. But here's where the story gets darker and much more complicated. The economic side is one thing, but the security side is where the alarms are ringing in Washington and Canberra. Included in these recent discussions and agreements is a joint development plan in areas of the South China Sea that overlap with Indonesia's exclusive economic zone. For years, Indonesia has fiercely defended its waters around the Natuna Islands. They have blown up illegal Chinese fishing boats and deployed fighter jets to patrol the area. They have always maintained that they are not a claimant in the South China Sea dispute, that these waters are indisputably Indonesian. But by signing a joint development deal with Beijing in these waters, experts at Geopower Report believe Indonesia might have inadvertently validated China's expansive claims. Think about it from Beijing's perspective. For decades, they have drawn the nine-line, claiming almost the entire ocean for themselves. Most neighbors like the Philippines and Vietnam have fought this. By getting Indonesia, the biggest player in the region, to agree to joint development, China can turn to the world and say, "See? We aren't aggressors, we are partners." It is a massive diplomatic victory for Xi Jinping. It weakens the united front of Southeast Asian nations and creates a wedge that China can exploit, the American blind spot. So, where is the United States in all of this? Frankly, they are playing catch-up. For a long time, American foreign policy in the region was focused on security alliances, selling F-15 fighter jets, and holding military drills. While those are important, They don't put food on the table for the average Indonesian. The US has struggled to offer a compelling economic alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. When Indonesian leaders look at the US, they see a partner that lectures them on human rights and environmental standards. When they look at China, they see a partner who buys their commodities and builds their subways. It is a transactional relationship, and right now, China is offering the better transaction. The US is trying to pivot, offering friend-shoring deals to diversify supply chains. But you can't fight a $50 billion tidal wave with promises and paperwork. The reality is, while Washington was focused on containment, Beijing was focused on integration. The risks: is Indonesia walking into a debt trap? Of course, this deal isn't all sunshine and rainbows for Indonesia. There is a very real fear of the debt trap. We have seen this play out in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and parts of Africa. Countries take massive loans from China for infrastructure, and when they can't pay them back, they are forced to hand over control of strategic assets like ports or power grids. There is also the issue of labor. One of the biggest complaints on the ground in Indonesia is that Chinese projects often come with Chinese workers. Instead of hiring locals, companies import thousands of laborers from the mainland, creating social tension and resentment. If the average Indonesian feels like they are becoming second-class citizens in their own industrial towns, this deal could backfire politically for the Indonesian government. We are already seeing protests in industrial parks where safety standards are low, and accidents are frequent. If this boils over, the stability that Beijing paid for could vanish overnight. The military dimension, access, and influence. Let's dig a little deeper into the military implications. Something we frequently analyze here at GeoPower Report. Why does China care so much about Indonesia's geography? It's because of the choke points. The Malacca Strait, the Sunda Strait, and the Lombok Strait are the arteries of the global economy. Most of China's oil imports and trade pass through these narrow waterways. If a war were to break out, say, over Taiwan, the US Navy could theoretically blockade these straits and choke China's economy. By deepening ties with Indonesia, Beijing is essentially buying insurance. They want to ensure that Indonesia remains neutral or friendly in any future conflict. They want access to ports for refueling and logistics. They don't necessarily need a full-blown military base in Jakarta. They just need to know that the Indonesian government won't shut the door on them. When things get hot, this $50 billion deal is essentially a down payment on that neutrality. It makes it very difficult for Jakarta to say no to Beijing when their entire economy relies on Chinese investment. The view from Jakarta, the good neighbor policy to be fair to the Indonesian government. They don't see themselves as a pawn. They see themselves as a rising power playing the game. Their foreign policy doctrine is free and active. They want to be friends with everyone. They buy fighter jets from the US and France. They buy submarines from Germany. And they take investment from China. President Prabowo is a nationalist. He's a former general. The idea that he would easily sell out his country's sovereignty contradicts his entire persona. His gamble is that he can take China's money to build his country, while using the US military relationship to keep China from getting too pushy. It is a high-wire act. He's betting that Indonesia is too big and too important to be bullied. He believes he can manage the Chinese dragon without getting burned. But as the sheer size of Chinese investment grows, his leverage shrinks. It is hard to bite the hand that feeds you. Even if that hand is reaching for your territory, we also have to talk about the environment, because the cost of this green revolution is actually quite dirty. The nickel processing plants funded by Chinese investment rely heavily on coal-fired power stations. Indonesia is burning massive amounts of coal to produce the metal needed for clean electric cars. This is a paradox that Western investors shy away from. But Chinese investors are willing to overlook the waste from these mines often ends up in the ocean, destroying coral reefs and fishing grounds that local communities rely on. This creates a disconnect between the government in Jakarta, which celebrates the GDP growth, and the people in the outer islands who deal with the pollution. If China becomes the face of environmental destruction in Indonesia, it could turn public opinion against them, regardless of how much money they spend. What happens next? So, where do we go from here? What is the next chapter in the story? We are likely to see a further division in Southeast Asia. Countries like the Philippines are moving closer to the United States, terrified of China's aggression. Meanwhile, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Laos are drifting deeper into China's economic orbit. For the United States, this is a wake-up call. If they want to prevent Indonesia from becoming a permanent satellite of Beijing, they need to offer a better deal. They need to invest in Indonesia's value-added industries. Not just extract resources, they need to show up for Beijing. The goal is consolidation. They want to rush these projects to completion to make the economic integration irreversible. They want to reach a point where Indonesia's economy is so entangled with China's that decoupling becomes impossible. In conclusion, The $50 billion deal between Indonesia and China isn't just a business transaction, it is a geopolitical maneuver that shifts the center of gravity. In Asia, Beijing gets guaranteed resources for the future and a strategic foothold in the most important waterways on Earth. Indonesia gets the infrastructure it desperately needs, but at the cost of vulnerability and potential compromise on its territorial integrity. The world is changing. The old alliances are being tested by the realities of hard cash and rapid development. Indonesia is trying to surf this wave, but the water is getting rougher by the day. This is a complex issue with no easy answers, and that's why we cover it. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Indonesia is making a smart move by taking the money? Or are they walking into a trap that will cost them their independence? And if you are watching from Indonesia or Southeast Asia, what is the feeling on the ground? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive. If you found this analysis helpful, please share this video with a friend or colleague. It really helps the channel grow and sparks the conversations that matter. Don't forget to like and subscribe to GeoPower Report for more unfiltered geopolitical analysis. I'll see you in the next video.